it went on a little bit further. And from there, I moved to another juku, and I was responsible for trying to get new students and building a plan to teach adults. And that went on for 5 years. And after that, I moved into real business, not education. And I joined a company that is in Sabai, Fukui, that sold raw materials and parts to make eyeglasses. And at that time, I was working with the president and his wife, and I was responsible for building the international business. Again, I was still pretty young, but he gave me a good chance, and we worked hard together, and it was a lot of fun, and we grew, and we hired a few more people. But after a while, I started to ask questions and question the way he wanted to do his business. And suddenly he was uncomfortable about that. And so when he became uncomfortable, then I became uncomfortable. And although a lot of the business that I built internationally came from communicating with companies all around the world and making good friends and excellent connections and things like that, I thought it was time to go. So I branched off on my own, and I worked for 6 years out of my home, doing similar work, plus also working with a consultant who was a retired guy, American fellow, who was the actual general manager for all of Southeast Asia for this very large company. And that was really interesting. We had a sock project and a couple other projects where we got Miss America involved, so that was kind of cool. And I had to do a lot of footwork walking around Tokyo trying to convince companies to be interested in these corn protein biodegradable socks. That was challenging, but it was interesting and it was a lot of fun. Didn't make a lot of money on that. And another project that I worked on with him, we didn't make any money because that company did not understand the concept of consultants and of billing. They expected us to do everything for them, and when they finally got results, then they would pay us something. So that didn't work out, so we sort of left that. But I remember at that time specifically that my mentor, Bob, we'll call him, told me that I really need to get some more corporate experience if I want to get into consulting. So I did over the past 8-9 years, because after working by myself in the eyeglass industry, export and import, and everything collapsing because of the Lehman shock, I ended up getting a job in the pharmaceutical industry. Now I have to tell you something. Before I started working for myself, I decided that I needed to be able to talk to CEOs and high-ranking management in companies. So I took an MBA. And in that MBA, I learned a lot. It was really hard. It was online, and I worked my ass off. But I really learned a lot about business, and I learned a lot about everything. So my recommendation is, if you really want to understand business and all the aspects, you know, economics and marketing and finance and so much more, I would invest in a master's in business to take that course, because it's really an eye-opener. It costs a lot of money. It's worth it though. It's really worth it. It takes 1 year, 2 years, but you really, really learn a lot and you work hard. So I use that information, that knowledge, that training in the pharmaceutical industry, and I'm still here 7 or 8 years later. I've worked in 1, 2, 3, 4 companies in the pharma industry, and it is corporate. I'm currently a manager at the company where I work, and I'm involved in global business development. That's not all that I do. I do teach English there, and I do translating, interpreting, and edit checking, and so much other work. I work visiting clients in Japan. I work trying to get clients from outside Japan to come to Japan and everything like that. But I work with the people in the company who are customers as well. And to me, the most important thing is, and how many times have I said it in this talk, communication.